Good morning. It's Sunday. Just woken up, having my coffee, and thinking about you because you, at least two of you, have sent in a question for the Life's Tricky Questions theme, and why not try and answer those questions? That's supposedly one of my jobs to do with working with children and young people at Bridge North Baptist Church. So, in famous YouTubing words, let's do this. The two questions that I've received this week are, hold on, let me just get onto my computer and make sure I've got it right. The two questions are, why do people believe in different religions? And, let me just get this right, who's right? Two people can say they both heard from God, but they say opposite things. How can I know what's right? Okay, well, I'm going to try and tackle the second one first, because I think my response to that is quite simple. Are you ready? Do you remember what the question was? It's who's right? Two people say they believe they've heard from God, but they both say opposite things. How do you know which one's right? Well, I would say the first thing you could do is to ask a third person on the same issue and say, could you tell me what you think God's saying to you about this particular thing? And then you've got two against one. That's quite handy, isn't it? You can go with the majority. However, even better than that, I think you should ask God yourself. So what does that look like? How does that work? So you would pray. You would say, God, I want to know what you're saying about this. Please make it clear to me. And then you just spend some time thinking about the two things that the two people have said. And so you're thinking about it and you're kind of praying about it and you're kind of meditating on it as well. And you're seeking God to kind of push you in the direction of one or the other. And it's very much a feeling, but because you've asked God to be part of that feeling, then what he gives you at the end of that time should be what you go for as being your answer. Okay, that's my best attempt at that question. The question about why are there different religions, I'm going to say you could Google this one. There's some good web pages about this. I'm going to give you my answer, and it's going to start with me saying, you know how different families do Christmas differently. They have different traditions for Christmas. Like some people say, oh, you can the kids just get up whenever they want, and some people say that the kids they're not allowed to get up till like 6 o'clock or whatever. And also some people have different traditions around dinner on Christmas Day and when you open presents. Do you know why that is? Do you know why there are different ways of doing things? Because people invent things like their way of doing something, and then they say to their children, this is a really good way of doing it. Or maybe they don't say that, and their children just think, oh yeah, this is the way you do that. And they just becomes something that you just do. And it's similar with religions in that these are stories that have been passed on from generation to generation. And so they've become tradition. So that's why there are different religions, because there are lots of people who are in the world now and lots of people who used to be in the world but have died, and they have passed on stories and traditions from generation to generation. So that's the first bit, okay? That people pass on, that things become different because people pass on different stories and traditions. Okay, for the next part of my answer, I'm going to use this book, which is an excellent book. This is an old copy of this book. I'm just going to tell you that this book was printed in 1984, but this book was first written in 1952. It's by C.S. Lewis, and it's called Mere Christianity. And there's a chapter here called What Christians Believe, and then this kind of part of the chapter is called The Rival Conceptions, that means understandings, of God. I'm just going to read a bit to you and then, pick it apart as we go along. I'm going to begin by telling you one thing that Christians do not need to believe. This is C.S. Lewis talking, not me. If you are a Christian, you do not have to believe that all the other religions are simply wrong all through. If you are an atheist, you do have to believe that the main point in all the religions of the whole world is simply one huge mistake. Okay? If you're a Christian, you are free to think that all those religions, even the weirdest ones, contain at least some hint of the truth. When C.S. Lewis was an atheist, I'm reading, so I'm going to say it as I, but it's C.S. Lewis. When I was an atheist, I had to try and persuade myself that most of the human race have always been wrong about the question that mattered to them most. When I became a Christian, I was able to take a more liberal view. Okay? So C.S. Lewis had to look at everybody who'd ever believed in any religion ever, this is as an atheist, and basically say they were all wrong. That's what he had to do as an atheist. When he was a Christian, he was able to take a more liberal view, so a more kind of relaxed view and not such a hard line. But of course, being a Christian does mean thinking that where Christianity differs from other religions, Christianity is right and they are wrong. That's the tension, you see, because it's not very comfortable to say that one thing's right and another thing's wrong. It's better to say, oh, well, we just see this from different perspectives. So in maths, there's one right answer to a calculation, and all the other answers are wrong. But some of the wrong answers are closer to being right than the others. 2 add 2 is 4. That's the right answer. 2 add 2 equals 5,000. That's a long way off. 2 add 2 equals 3. That's a lot closer to the right answer. Right, let's go through a few of the different religions. So we've got, there's a division of humanity. There's a majority who believe in some kind of God or gods, and a minority who do not believe in any God or gods. Christianity lines up with the majority, therefore. You've got ancient Greek religions, Roman religions, you've got Hinduism, you've got Islam, you've got Buddhism, loads of other religions, and some quite major, some quite minor, and some maybe religions that have fizzled out over time. I want to come back to the idea that religions come because they were invented by somebody at some point when, I don't know, there was something was revealed to them. That's common in a lot of religions. And I say invented, I don't mean therefore because it's invented it's not true. It's when somebody has spent time either seeking God about something or thinking about something, and there's a revelation, there's a kind of, oh, this is what it is, this is what makes sense. And so they've shared that with other people, and other people have gone, oh yeah, that makes sense to me too. And then that's been kind of proven and tested, and then it gets passed on in a kind of tradition. Now, some of the religions are based on things that haven't actually been seen with the human eye. And some religions are based on things that have actually been seen with the human eye. And some people are more drawn to the religions that have some evidence, like a real person who is the origin of that religion. And this is the kind of the the crucial thing for me about Christianity is that it's not just a prophet who, or a great speaker or a great doer. It's actually God in the form of Jesus, who is the person that people have seen and heard and have recorded in history. Jesus' existence is historical. It's documented, it's proven. Now, it's not necessarily proven beyond any questionable doubt that Jesus died and rose again and was the Son of God, but there's a lot of evidence that points towards it. So there's great comfort from knowing that Jesus is real. Now, he says that he says now that he is God, and he said at the time that he was God, he is God. It's up to us whether we believe that. We can't prove it, but we can choose to believe it. So that's, for me, why I am more compelled and more drawn towards Christianity, is the person of Jesus being real, historical, and I believe he is who he says he is. I don't believe he's just somebody who teaches good things, because if he was just somebody who teaches good things, then he's not to be trusted, because he also said he was God. So if he's not God, then you can't trust anything he says. And I'm really happy to trust everything he says, because I find it liberating. And that's what I believe Jesus came for, to set us free from sin and shame and doubt. He said he's the way, the truth, and the life. He's the way to follow. He's the truth, so when we have any doubts, we can come back to the truth. And he's the life. That means the best life is lived with him. So that's my conclusion. I hope that goes some way to answering that question.